Well, hey there, Warhammer fan. Do you guys smell that? It smells like beer and gunpowder and beard varnish. Oh God, can only mean one thing. It's a dwarf infestation. Well, thank God I have just the tool for that. A big green wah. All right, boys, here's what we got. We got 2,500 points of Orcs and Goblins versus Dwarves. And better than that, this is against my father-in-law. My father-in-law is visiting for a week. I quit my job just a couple days ago, and I don't start my next job for 2 weeks. It's awesome. I'm in full hobby mode, and my father-in-law's here. And like a great guy playing a very stout and compact army that's very durable, he threw it in a Tupperware box and flew it out here. So we've got a whole bunch of dwarves to play. He had like very few things that broke too. My army could not do that. Like it would just snap the legs off of that spider right there. So we're sitting here. We got a whole week of hobby. I've been doing great stuff with them. We've been making movement trays. We've been magnetizing. We've been painting. I was painting up his gyrocopter for him as a birthday present. And we just decided at the day, at some point during the day, brush is down, we're bored of painting, it's time to fight. So we said, let's do 2,500 points. That sounds great. And the best part is, unlike normal dwarfs, my father-in-law's been playing for a little bit, maybe a couple of years now, but he's still fairly new. He's not like the other dwarves right now. He wants to fight. He's bored with the gun line. And I play dwarves. I was the dwarves fighting orcs and goblins in a little mini tournament like earlier in the week. It's not fun to play the gun line. You feel like a shit because you're blowing up all their guys that can't get to you, and then when they do get to you, you just die. Or, it's not fun to play against them. It's not fun to play them when you're doing the gun line. But we're looking at the book, and we're like, hey, some of these guys aren't bad. They've got really good leadership. They can hit like trucks. They hate the orcs and goblins, so that'll be great. So he's like, I want to do some combat, and I'm all happy with that. So I throw up 2,500 points. What you can see here, it's kind of a pretty good mix. It's kind of close to, it's pretty much what I always play. I didn't ham it up too much, knowing that he wouldn't have magic. I still have my level 4 and a level 1 goblin. I didn't take a Dispel Scroll, but otherwise, I pretty much know I'm not going to get much magic off, but I didn't cheese that up. I wanted to give him a good shot at, here's what the orcs can do. And I wanted to run at him and kick his ass. Then he throws this down. And I'm like, well, what the hell is this? We're playing 2,500. And he says, yeah, I know. I'm like, no, 2,500 points. Go get the rest of your army. Whereas, like, your 8 groups of miners that are going to come up. And he's like, I don't have any. This is it. And we look at the points, and this is it. He can frickin' only afford 2 hordes, some thunderers, and, like, 1 artillery and a little gyrocopter. It's crazy. I'm like, this is unbelievable. Your hordes are, like, 500 points each. Now, he does have some pimped out characters in there, but, I mean, look at this. Look at that. And this. And that. I mean, I told him, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm sorry, I'm just going to kick your ass. You should come up with a new list. Like, if I get to you, yes, you've got great weapons, but I'm going to kick your ass. And he's like, let's just play and see what happens. It might not happen. And then, worst case, we'll just adjust the list and make like a 2-for-1 battle report. I'm like, all right. So then a couple things went in his favor. One, we started rolling for the train, and he got a river. And here's where the river went. Now, he's not playing a gun line. He kind of wants to come to me a bit too, but he also has some thunderers and stuff. So, he knows I'm going to come to him. So that river's going to help him. 2, we get Dawn Attack. And Dawn Attack means roll for deployment. And look at where everybody ended up on my side. Everybody's in my right flank. And you can't see him here, but that's not where his guys are. So I got to come the long haul to him. So here's what I brought. 28 Black Orcs. That's not Grimgore. It's just a bitchin' model in there. I got my Ragnarok. I got 32 Savages. Then a level 4 in there with a Lucky Shrunken Head. And a Black Orc BSB. Which is also pretty awesome because it's the Forge World model with a dead, goopy, dripping Slayer body on there. Crucified to my battle standard, actually. So I think that's pretty good because he loves dwarves and I got one ripped up. Then I got 20 Night Goblins with bows in the back. Got 2 Fanatics hiding around in there. And, I figured we'll just have a little shooty group. My level 1's in there as well. Then I have 3 Trolls, 1 Mangler, 5 Goblin Wolf Riders, a Goblin Wolf Chariot, 2 Boar Chariots, 5 Boar Boys, which, they're normally not that good in 5, but I really like them. Then I got a Squig Herd. Because, yeah, Squigs, they're freaking awesome. And they hate dwarves. And so here are his few guys. He has 34 Longbeard Rangers. Now, he has a Rune Lord in there, and it's only now occurring to me that he might not be able to scout with that Rune Lord in there. But it doesn't matter because it's like 1 point per to make that unit a scouting unit. And if he was playing someone else, or if the scenario changed a bit, that could be a really amazing ability. And it'd be good to just bring in a tournament and just in case you could use it. In this case, he didn't use it. He had nowhere to go because I was straddling the back line. It didn't make sense for him to pop out anywhere else. Then he has a gyrocopter. A gyrocopter I'm painting up for him, by the way. Then a Demon Slayer out on his own. He wanted to see what that guy can do. Now, the Demon Slayer's got the +1 strength and double your strength if you're fighting anything T5 and higher. So he could be a badass, but he also has no save, and he has his naked little butt hanging out there. His Rune Lord in there has the +1 strength. No, that's the other guy. His Rune Lord is immune to killing blow and poison, and has the like 2 dispel runes on him, so he can just dispel. Not eat the spell and remove it from my brain entirely, but dispel it. He has a cannon in that building, which is always good. Then he's got 15 Thunderers, and then 30 Hammerers with great weapons. Or obviously they have great weapons. Then he has a Thane, and his Thane BSB in there, and his Lord. And his Lord's basically got the same kit, being immune to killing blow. He also has the double strength and +1 strength, and double strength versus T5, and a 1+ armor save. His BSB, his Thane has something. I think the thing that lets him march after they deployed, but he either forgot or didn't do it. And then that whole unit has the Rune of Slowness, which comes into effect a lot. It's a really good rune, and I'll explain that in a minute. So here is what the battlefield looks like on the left flank. Basically, all my low-hitting stuff's down there, and my right flank is going to try to get into combat very slowly. During Vanguard, the only Vanguarding unit in the whole damn game moves up to the river, sticks their toe in, and finds out it's a boiling river. Burns one toe off, and basically what that means is at the end of the turn, at the end, like not a phase, movement phase, at the end of the full turn, any models in there take a strength 4 hit, and I don't believe you get armor saves. So that's going to cause some problems, probably. Anyway, he rolls a 6, snakes the first turn for me like a jerk wagon, and I make some jokes about marrying his daughter and doing things to her. And then we go to Dwarf Turn 1. He moves his gyrocopter over here, and just gets ready to start flaming. Eventually moves his Longbeards up to the river, and his Demon Slayer moves up to the river as well. He angles, doesn't have much to do, very slow dwarf movement, but he's kind of coming around, wants to get out and fight. We go to shooting phase. He puts, aiming from the back of the Ragnarok with his cannon, he lands a hit, and rolls a 1 to wound. So I'm already thinking this game's going to go my way. Oh, if that's the luck you're bringing with your cannon, yeah, I'm happy about that. His Thunderers take long shots and end up killing 3 of my Wolf Riders, which made them panic. And I've still got 2 left, and they're running toward the BSB in the leadership bubble, but kind of sucks to have them get lost already. We go to Orcs and Goblins turn 1. So here comes the Green Tide. Now, I send the spider through the forest, find it's a normal forest, and then I move the rest in there safely. Here come the infantry. The Mango Squig goes through the river and passes dangerous terrain. Rally with the Wolf Riders. Everyone is just kind of moving their slow green asses up. On the middle, this is showing that the basic battle I have here is if you can make it, you cannot march through a river, nor can you declare a march move if you're touching a river, like if you're starting in there. So basically, I have to try to get people through the river as best I can. It's going to be a tough one, because not everyone's going to be able to make it through the river on their base movement. So chariots that can go through do. Everyone else just goes up to the river. The Squigs on this side and the other chariot, they are not yet impeded. We go to the magic phase, and these are the spells I have. Note there's no Hand of Gork, so there is no magic ability to help me. Not that I'll be able to get magic off, but there's no magic to help me. So I'm looking at these spells. They're all going to help close combat. I've got one thing I'm going to do here, and we all know what it is. It's 6 dice, the goddamn Foot of Gork. We're going to do that. I'm either going to get sucked into the warp and it's going to go off, or he's going to dispel it. And by God, I'm going to get sucked into the warp, or I'm going to stomp the shit out of him. That's what I'm going to do. So I want to whittle that group on the left down quite a bit, but I've got a while till I'm going to be there. So let's get rid of those Thunderers. I put the Foot on there, juiced up the Foot to stomp, and I don't get Irresistible Force, so out comes the first Dispel rune and takes care of it. I have 3 bow shots that I put on his Dwarfs, his Hammerers, and they don't do anything. Here's a picture of the end of the turn. We go to Dwarf Turn 2. His gyrocopter flies over to lay down a nasty little flame template over here. And actually, that's a good. I'm only T3 on these guys, so that's a really good target. That's like the only good target for the gyrocopter. His Demon Slayer moves backward because now he's getting a little afraid of what everything's going to do to him with his exposed butts. The Thunderers take aim, a whole bunch of shots at the Mangler, and luckily only land one wound. So I will continue there. During the shooting phase, or the remainder of the shooting phase, he only kills one handler, which is good because when all the handlers are gone, they blow up. But he does kill like freaking 11 squigs. My God, he was able to cover everyone but 2 with that flame template, and it was strength 3. He just rolled really well. So yeah, they're significantly diminished, and they're immune to panic, so I don't have to worry about that. But man, that thing, what a pain in the ass. He actually lands a cannon shot and does 2 wounds to my Arachnarok, but this is the reason I take the Arachnarok, people. It has 8 wounds. He is still probably not going to kill him with another cannon shot. Now, in this case, I have a long way to go, so that Arachnarok's probably not going to make it. But in most cases, the thing can weather a lot of shots, and it takes a lot of cannon hits normally. So he's 300 points, but I think he's worth it. And, you know, if you've watched my battle reports, you've probably seen a lot of times where a 2-wound Arachnarok or 1 wound left is around at the end of the game, holding his points and has done great, great things. So, and people always ask me why I take him. That's why I take him. Plus, I painted him, and I think he's pretty. We go to Orcs Goblins turn 2, showing more slow slogging through the river. I just decided to brave the river with those boar boys, which is why they're partially in it. The rest of the people are able to move through. The Arachnarok moves up so it can get a flank charge over the building onto the Hammerers. The Mangler doesn't make it into combat with a fairly average roll, and those trolls don't look like I moved them very much because they're still in the river. Huh. Yeah, either they're moving up really slow or I did something stupid. I might have tried to charge. That's really long. I don't think I would have done that. I might have tried to charge. It does sound like me. I think I might have tried to charge and found out he had the rune of slowness at this point. I don't know. Stop asking. Here's a picture of the end of movement, just to show what it looks like, and we go to the magic phase. It's 7 dice to 5. That green tide's coming, and again, there's only one thing I can do. You know what it is. But now I'm switching targets. I want to, I'm hoping to get into combat soon because I'm closing that distance, and at least the Arachnarok can get there whenever I want him to, probably. So let's start stomping. Juiced up foot. I don't get irresistible, and out comes the second dispel rune. But they're both gone now, so I'm feeling like I can get it off next time. My shooting at a couple of bow shots, 3 bow shots, and his Thunderers doesn't do anything. And at the end of the turn, I get 3 strength 4 hits with no armor saves, and I think only one of them wounds from the river, so that sucks. But now I don't have to worry about animosity over here, and I think I've only had to hit me once so far. We go to Dwarf Turn 3, and what do we got? We've got the Dwarfs right here are angling this big group. Like the only movement they're doing is with their horde. They're angling such that they're constantly keeping basically everyone in the front. Right now, that means the Arachnarok he's kind of on their flank, but the majority of his model is in the front. So that's a good movement on his part. A whole bunch of shots come in, and only 2 out of like 15. The front row needs 4s, the back row needs 5s. 15 shots, only 2 hit. What terrible luck. But both 2 wound and kill the Mangler. Very sad. Flame Template kills 6 more. Still got 3 handlers left, but yeah, I don't know what these guys are going to do anymore. It's sad. So that's the end of his turn. Frickin' dwarves don't do anything. Orcs Goblins turn 3. I'll show him what. I fail animosity, and then I roll a 6. That means I get a free movement now, and I have to charge. So I do. I go right through the river, and I'm going to charge his ass. And he says, stand and shoot. And I'm like, you don't have stand and shoot. He's like, yes, I bought hand axes. Hand axes are great. They're quick to fire, and they're strength +1 to whatever you are. So these are strength 5. And strength 5 means, with all those shots, he kills them. Yeah, he just kills them, man. No, they don't even get a chance to like break or blow up or anything. They're just dead, which is pretty great. My chariot does go into the Slayer, though. But that's good, because the impact hits on that little naked butt, split that thing right up the middle. Then I decide, I'm over here with my chariot. I've got a boar chariot and my group of 5 boar boys behind him. And I'm like, I've got too many units here to get into the flank of the Hammerers. And I'm not ready to get in the flank of the Hammers yet. I'm not going to send the Arachnarok in yet alone, and no one else is close. So what am I going to do with this chariot? And I decide, I know I'm going to get stand and shot, but I'm going to try to get lucky and get some impact hits on this group that's just blowing me up with their guns. So I charge, and he's able to blow me up. I knew he was going to kill me, but I had really nothing else to do with this, and I figured, let's try. I don't regret anything. Well, I regret the fact that he died, but not my decision. Because he ate the stand and shoot with the chariot that blew up, my second part of the plan was to charge with the boar boys, and you can see up top. I didn't need that high of a roll either. I think it was close to 50-50. But I failed, and so now I'm going to have to eat another stand and shoot when it's time to charge him. I think the trolls tried to charge too, and with the rune of slowness, I failed, and then we tried to look it up online to find out, okay, if you fail the charge normally, does the rune still subtract d6? We couldn't find anything. The problem with damn dwarves is that all the stuff on Google when you ask a question is from frickin' 6 or 7 years ago, so none of it's really relevant, and we couldn't figure it out. We decided that yes, it would still, based on the wording in the FAQ and there, it subtracts d6 from your charge distance. Even if you fail a charge, we figured it would subtract it, so the trolls don't get to go anywhere. Everyone else moves up to the river. It doesn't look like it here, but the black orcs have themselves in a spot where they can move and do a normal movement through the water and will be touching the building, so they'll be able to go into the building. The Arachnarok moves to make sure he's back in the flank again when he wants to charge. Here is a picture of what this flank looks like. And we go to magic. It's 5 dice to 4. You know what's coming? The Bigfoot of Gork. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I got 5 dice, he's got 4. I roll it. Not irresistible. And he rolls like super good and just dispels it outright. Son of a bitch. I'm getting it next time. I swear it. That's it for magic. No shooting on my part. We go to close combat. I land 3 impact hits. I get 3 impact hits. I land 2 as wounds on him, and he has 1 wound left. Now this is where I'm toughness 5, so he's got all 4 attacks at strength 10. He misses with 2. Strength 10's great, but you need a bunch of attacks. And then one of my pigs is able to sink the last wound in, and I overrun to get out of the charge arc of the Longbeards. So the Slayer could be situationally great, but in this situation, I mean, if he charged me, that Slayer would be great, but against his target. But the other way, no, I was able to eat him. And here's a picture of the end of turn. So we go to Dwarf Turn 4. His gyrocopter flies up with no real targets that are squishy enough to do anything against. He's just going to be a nuisance and wait till he needs to chaff me up. During the rest of shooting, the cannon takes aim at the spider and rolls a 1 to wound. That's the second time he's done it. It's pretty fantastic. The Thunderers take aim at the boar boys, and I don't believe... Nope, they don't do any wounds. He reforms with his Longbeards here and is able to do it in such a way that it's a move and shoot weapon. So he reforms and then throws. I think he does a swift reform or something, and then is able to do it. So able to throw them. Only the front rank and some of the back are able to get in. So some of them land, and they're strength 5 versus toughness 5. I got pretty lucky that I only took 2 wounds, and so I've still got 1. I've only got 1 wound left on him, so it's time to GTFO. And that is the end of the dwarf turn. It just nothing frickin' happens. Let me find my notes. We go to Orcs and Goblins turn 4. So with the rune of slowness, it looks like I should be getting charges off. I'm getting ever closer, but it's still long charges. I mean, we're talking on my savages, I would need to roll a 9, and that is before the rune of slowness would do whatever it was going to do. That's too long. So I just decide, you know what? Enough dinking around with this river. We're going to go through it so we can get a charge off for once on the next turn. So my spider moves to make sure that he's going to be in the flank. No more turning shenanigans. If you want that spider in the front, you're giving your flank to everybody else, and your rear to some people. So the savages move into the river, and they're going to take wounds from it at the end of the turn, but I can't do anything about that if I ever want to get them into combat. The trolls, I think they either failed the charge or they just moved up a bit. One of the two. It might have been the rune of slowness helping them fail a charge, because I think I was going to try to get them in. The black orcs, you can see on the top of the building, there's 1 black orc laying there because they went into the building, and they won't be able to charge, but at least they're across the river. On this side, I'm getting the hell away from these guys so they can't throw axes at me, and I'm going to threaten the flank of the Thunderers that are to the left. I'm just totally ignoring the cannon in the building. With my 2 remaining Wolf Riders, well, he's shooting at me. I'm going to shoot at him with 2 bow shots, and I'm not going to do anything, I'm sure. Here's just a picture after movement. It's showing that you can see the guys in the building, and this is where everything ends up. So we go to magic phase. It's 11 dice to 7. And you know what's coming. You know what's coming. I'm going to get it off this time. I just swear. So I go for the juiced up foot, and I roll the dice, and there are 2 6s. And that's really good. Time to stomp. And stomp, and stomp, and stomp, and stomp. Holy shit. The foot comes down the first time and stomps and kills 13. And that's after he has magic resistance 1 to give him 6 up ward saves. I roll, stomps again, direct hit again. He's always making his lookout, sirs. Kill 6. Roll again, stomps, direct hit, kill 6. Roll again, stomps him again, direct hit, kill 5. Roll again, roll a 1, and he stomps me and kills 9. And I'm in combat. It's strength 7. Now that really matters, but it's still fun. It was unbelievable. He just killed so much. I don't think I've had foot kill that many guys. I went from 33 in that unit to 3. There is a champion, a BSB, and a lord, and that's all that's in there. Oh my god. That couldn't have gone better. It's just freaking great. But it was a miscast, and it's time to pay the piper. The piper? He demanded that I take a strength 6 hit for both my casters. One that failed to wound my savage that miscast. And only just put a strength 6 hit, putting 1 wound on my goblin. I got away scot-free with that. With the exception of getting some of my savages, stomped on. That couldn't have gone better. I frickin' love you, Mork and Gork. You guys are the best. Now, with only one, with no lookout, sir, and with shooting only having 1 champion in there with his 2 guys, it's your time to shine, goblins. We pick up our crappy-looking bows, we take 8 shots, and we miss. But we actually get 3 hits, but we aren't able to wound anybody. But he had to put at least 1 on every guy, so that was pretty great. My 2 bows over here, yeah, they don't do anything either. And I do 2 wounds from the Piglies. He does 1 to me, and I win. Or he does 4 wound back to me, but I armor save 3 of them because he's only at strength 3. Now, he does have hatred, which is pretty great. So he's re-rolling his hits on the first round, gets a lot of hits, only lands 4 wounds, and I was able to armor save 3. He wins and sticks because he's steadfast and his BSB's nearby, but he was steadfast and freaking dwarf leadership anyway. So we go to Dwarf Turn 5. He charges my chariot, and I opt to flee. And I was thinking about this quite a bit. I was like, should I flee or shouldn't I? I didn't care if I lost the chariot, but if I fled, I was worried that I was going to pop through his guys and then block a charge from my Arachnarok. But then I was like, well, okay, I might not get to him anyway, and I might decide not to charge at the Arachnarok. If I stay where I am, he's going to hit my chariot, kill it, and then get an overrun. And then that second horde is up supporting where his first horde was. I want those guys out of play, so even though I might block my Arachnarok, I decided to flee. I fled through both the Thunderers and the Lord and took dangerous terrain on the Lord and killed him. The last wound died. It was awesome. So it was like the best of both worlds for me. And yeah, normally I'm not excited about losing a chariot, but in this case, I was very thankful for it. Over here, it looks bizarre because it looks like everyone just scattered. And they kind of did. His Lord runs off, as far as he can go, his little 6 inches of movement or whatever it is. His Lord and 2 shield bearers run up there. Then the BSB kind of moves to, kind of block and stop people from coming in. They got to go through the BSB first. And then we look, and because the unit that was there is a single model, it can walk. We couldn't find anything that said he couldn't. The unit is not a unit anymore. It's a single model, so it can walk. And so he just turned and walked as much as he could. Now he's going to give the champion to eat the Arachnarok first. So I thought that was fairly brilliant. I also suggested he did it. So he flies his gyrocopter here so that I have to charge it first. So basically he's stopping me from getting my impact hits and breaking those Thunderers, which I really need because that combat's not going well for me. He's got just static combat res and I just have armor. It's kind of a push, but it's a push more in his favor. So he's going to chaff me up there, and that should work pretty well for him. This is just a picture showing where his failed charge ended up from his Longbeards. During shooting, the cannon takes aim and hits and rolls his 3rd one to wound the Arachnarok. He's hit it 4 times, only done one round where he did wounds to it. He's getting ready to throw dice at this point because he keeps rolling a 1 to wound. It's freaking fantastic. In the close combat, you can see there, I do 2 wounds to him, and he's steadfast and sticks. And that's pretty much all there is. I mean, everyone else is like locked down. Oh, and at the end of the turn, the river does 6 wounds to me. Jesus. I can't feel too bad about this because of what I did to his horde that is no longer on the board with my with my foot of cork. But come on, river. Jesus, at least I'm not going to be in it much longer because it's definitely going to kill me. Go to Orcs and Goblins turn 5. So he chaffed me up, so with the gyrocopter, I have to charge him. I do, and he's like, I could try to flee. I'm like, yeah, but if you flee, I might redirect into where you wanted me anyway. He's like, nah, you're not going to make it. It's only 50%. So he flees, and I roll, and I don't make the leadership to redirect. He was right, but I was able to catch him. And now this sucks, because wasn't I just in this position with a chariot? The answer is yes, I was. Now I'm in a spot where I'm going to have to flee through those guys again on a chariot with 1 wound remaining. Wait, why does it only have 1 wound remaining? I think that's inaccurate. Trying to go back. I think I made the mistake. I'm just trying to see if he had one back here. Why would he have had one? All right, I'm done trying to figure it out. For some reason, that chariot has 4 wounds on him. I don't know why. I don't think he took any damage. No, anyway, regardless, that chariot's going to die when it gets flank charged. So I'm going to have to flee. And, you know, he could break my guys on this turn, and then he's got that horde right ready to fight again. I don't want that, so I'm going to have to flee again. It's crazy. But instead, I come up with a brilliant idea of instead of just doing nothing with my 2 wolves, I'm going to move them up here with their super movement, and I'm going to chaff up that horde. So super wolves to the rescue. Because it's turn 5, there's no way he can kill them and get into combat on turn 6. Those guys are out of the game, and I'm very happy about it. I won't get those points, which there are a lot, but I'm happy. I charge the champion with my Arachnarok, get him out of the way, and start eating the rest. And then I come out of the building with the Black Orcs, and I make it. I just move through the river. I'm not trying to charge at this point. I think I tried to charge with the Trolls because it was single characters, and I didn't make it, so they stumbled forward. But now, next turn. I know I've been saying every turn. Next turn is the time I'm going to get my charges off. We go to the magic phase, and it's 12 dice to 7. Oh, here we go again, baby. Look at that. The foot fits beautifully between those 2 models, if I do say so myself. I roll 6 dice, and it's not irresistible force, but it is pretty high. He picks up his 6 dice, or actually picks up 7, and rolls basically a Yahtzee on 5s and dispels it. The 2 extra dice from the Yahtzee were probably 6s. Just came out of nowhere. He's been great on his dispel. So once again, proving in this edition, if it's not irresistible, go home. Last few dice I have, I throw Fist of Gork on my guy in case I do get into combat, and he lets me know. He's like, well, my little, I think it was his Rune Lord, maybe it'd be one of those dudes has a pulsing at the start of every turn. Every remains in play spell within 12 inches is auto dispelled. So that was kind of pointless. It happens. He kills one of my remaining Piggly Wigglies, and they break. But he was able to make his leadership test to not pursue them, which is good for him and bad for me, because he wants to shoot some guys. Now, there's not a lot of targets to shoot that'll let him points, but it's probably better than getting wiped out and coming close to my trolls just to get a couple points worth of pigs. So that was a good move. We go to Dwarf Turn 6, and we kind of talked about what to do here, and this was the best plan that, kind of both playing together that we could come up with. I thought it was brilliant. He was able to move his BSB out of the charge arc of the Black Orcs, and he absolutely made the furthest movement he could with his Lord there to get to where he is. So they're both out of the charge arc. We put those 2 models there to signify he has 2 shield bearers. Those are not where the models are. They're actually just under his Lord. But we were constantly forgetting it. So now they're out of the charge arc. He was thinking about charging with both of them, charging with his Lord into the Arachnarok, because he would have Strength 10, he would have ASF on him, and a bunch of stuff. But the problem is, there's 5 wounds on that Arachnarok, and I told him, don't do that. If you charge in, unless you can charge in with both, and you feel both of them are not going to miss, like, at all, and I don't think he would get the Greenskin rerolls, because this is a spider. There are greenskins on top. I don't know how that would work. Anyway, it was dicey. If you don't kill him, he's gonna swing and thunderstomp you, and you're gonna die. So the plan he came up with here was just to move close to him, so he's out of the charge arc. He will get charged on my turn, but this gives him a turn of shooting. So hopefully, from his perspective, not mine, his cannon will hit, soften up, or kill the Arachnarok that has 5 wounds left, and then that'll be a much easier thing for his dwarfs to finish up on Orcs and Goblins turn 6. I think it's the best plan he had here, mostly because dwarves are so damn slow, he couldn't get behind his Thunderers and get out of the way. And he only has to weather his turn 6 and my turn 6. He can be in combat at that point, and as long as he's not dead, he saves the points. Over here, his Longbeards decide just to finish up the wolves, like we said. I probably could have fled there. No, wait, never mind. I couldn't have fled. That was why I put him there. We go to the shooting phase. It couldn't have lasted forever. Out of 6 turns, 4 of the turns he rolled a 1 to wound, which was pretty sweet. But this time, he lands and he gets exactly the 5 wounds he needs and kills the Arachnarok. Very sad, but it had to happen. Statistically, it was going to happen at some point. It was just weird that it, wasn't going to happen. It was all 1s and then finally a 5. So the A-Rock's dead. I'm very sad about that. His Thunderers take aim at the Piglies, and we're not able to mop up the points. The standard is flying away, which is pretty great. I know he might not rally, but he's also not going to get off the board. I'm happy about that. So here is Orcs and Goblins turn 6. He flees from a charge from my Black Orcs. That's the only one they can charge. He charges the Thunderers, and then he lands right in front of my Chariot, who decides, I'm going to charge them off the board and get the points for him. So I do. So he's off the board, and my 2 guys fail their charges. Over here, the Trolls finally get a charge off, and they're only in on the BSB. I think I forgot to mention, he was angled like at a perfect line with each other, so the Arachnarok would have had to charge both. But in this case, I'm only touching the BSB. We go to combat. I don't puke on him because I've got 2 guys touching him. I figure why not? I've got 6 attacks and 2 stomps. 6 attacks wound once, and no stomps wound. I'm not able to kill the damned Lord, or the damned BSB hero level guy. I couldn't believe it. I should have puked. It would have killed him. Just crazy. So I don't get to overrun. I wouldn't have got to fight that combo with the Lord anyway, but I don't get the points for the BSB. But look at this. Insane courage. I wasn't going to lose those points anyway, but I get to rally, so that feels pretty good. And that's the game. So when the game's all said and done, it was a fairly close game. I think I had just shy of 1,100 points, like 1030, and he had about 700 from me, 300 of which was the Arachnarok. So it was a really fun game, and I thought the Dwarves did really well. It was one of these great games where it was not a boring Dwarven Gunline game, There was a lot of weird movements, shenanigans, and I like this type of game. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the fact the river tied me up, because that was bullshit. But I like this type of game where the terrain affects it a lot, but it's not because of super magic effect. It's not a sorcerer's portal blowing the hell out of your units before you get in, and no way to get away from it. It's not the River of Light casting Speed of Light that totally swung a combat that shouldn't have happened. It's just movement, tight quarters, buildings, and rivers, and I think that's kind of fun. Obviously it'll get annoying. Most of the time each one to run at each other, but I think it was a pretty fun game. And I put this slide in to shame my father-in-law, because for his birthday I'm painting up this gyrocopter for him, and I'm spending all this time on it. I'm in the middle of painting it. He's like, let's stop, let's play a game. And he comes up with a list that doesn't have a damn gyrocopter in it. I'm like, dude, I spent like hours on this. Not only that, I magnetized the propeller, and so it moves for traveling, it comes off, and it spins freely. It's freaking awesome. Every time you move the gyrocopter, you spin the helicopter, and you make the little sound, and you have a good time. And he wasn't going to take it. So I threw a fit until he put it in his list. Anyway, fun game. I will probably have a few more with Dwarves, and I will probably make him play some other armies so we can get those in there as well. But you know what? It felt good to play the Greenskins again. God damn, I love those orcs. Thanks, everybody.